And hot private, this is the War on Comics. I'm Colin.
I'm Omar.
It's the Mazuchelli Meltdown. Look, we got, I think you said you ordered the Asterios Polyp, right?
Yeah.
And I hadn't read that in a while, and I was like, okay, we can dive into that. But I think this is a springboard of sorts, right? To get into dichotomies.
Love it.
Okay, so in this dichotomy, in comics in general, right, you have the writer and the artist.
Yeah.
And I think this is a really interesting time to explore a writer, Frank Miller, working with an artist, David Mazzucchelli, and then David Mazzucchelli solo. We also have the dichotomy of superhero comics versus indie comics,
Yeah.
auteurship versus collaborative works.
Many like in music, like you see with diatomics.
Okay,
like
yeah.
that kind of split of I guess orchestrating something for indoor music angle.
Yeah, it's a fun. I think it'll be an interesting talking point, or I guess a point of conversation. Because I think in general with comics, I would say I'm more of a writer first
Yeah, I've
kind
noticed
of
that.
person.
I've noticed that.
And so
And I think I'm the opposite.
yeah, that's what makes things kind of interesting. That we have kind of like what I would consider like a peak superhero writer working with a, maybe not like a Mount Rushmore artist, but like a terrific
Yeah.
comic artist. And then to see that guy go on his own, we can maybe find the value in these. See what we're able to see. Where do they call this in science? Right? There's like a this is like the test or the control group.
Right.
The control group is
So
Mazzucchelli on his own. The test here is how does he fare in the 80s working with old Frank Miller. I think it'll be an interesting dichotomy to get into, an interesting split. The dichotomy is crazy, if you will.
The dichotomy is high.
Yeah. Shall we get into it?
Yeah, let's do it.
What do you want to start with? So I guess we'll go chronologically and start with the Born Again run here from this old Daredevil Frank Miller omnibus. You big on Frank Miller Daredevil?
This is my first time going through it.
Really?
Yeah,
Really?
and I feel ashamed. I'm not gonna lie. This is probably this reinvigorated my love for this character.
Yeah.
Because I just loved picking up random Daredevils from back in the day. I think I told you my first exposure was actually the JR stuff.
Okay, yeah.
And that was amazing. I love the later stuff they did with Joe Quesada. I think in the 2000s.
Yeah, with the Marvel Knights series.
That stuff, man.
Yeah.
So that's the Daredevil I knew, and I can tell that they all come from this.
Yeah.
At least, from what I've read.
Yeah, Frank Miller Daredevil, full disclosure, is probably my favorite straight superhero comic.
Nice.
I think
can totally see that.
I sort of see there being I don't know. I guess I'm a big tent comics guy. I don't mean to disparage superhero comics when I say this, but let's say there's a scale, right? Let's say there's a sliding scale. Over here you have superhero slop, the dregs, and over here you have art, whatever you want to call it, your your Hernandez brothers, your peak, your Fantagraphic stuff, your high art,
your Zot maybe, or
yeah,
something
your
like that.
Rin Tin Tin, your Karl Barks Duck Comics, whatever you got as your apex, that's on this side as far as the peak of what the medium can do, and this is our sliding scale. And there's some level of superhero comics right in the middle, right, where it's as good as superhero comics can be, and then there's some click where it turns into something else, and that's an interesting little area to live in. I think Frank Miller Daredevil is 100% straight comics. This is pure superhero comics. We got the Comics Code Authority. We have each issue treating it like it's someone's first comic. We're doing straight. It's not like house style Marvel method or anything, but we're still very straight in terms of the kind of comic it is. It is squarely a superhero comic. I have a very hard time imagining a Daniel Klaus getting very excited
About this.
about anything, maybe anything with Frank Miller's name on it, but certainly not the Daredevil stuff. But so it's like, I think it's about as good as you can get and as close to that other than style.
Right.
You know, that's a real simplistic way of looking at it. Maybe it's a little unfair, but
I think that's like well within ballpark though. Of
that
like
that said,
accurate
if I had to
feelings.
find like the best that a superhero comic can be before it turns into something else, that's this Daredevil run. And actually, I kind of feel like it's a little bit better before this, when Frank, because there's a period where Frank Miller is writing and drawing, and he's not quite like Sin City Frank Miller yet, but it's still really great. Like, this is from the second volume of the Omnibus, and the other Omnibus. It's like a book thicker than this, and it's just all of the Frank Miller written, and, well, someone else writes it first, and then he starts writing and drawing, and man, it just gets to such a sweet pace. I mean, that's where like the Elektra stuff comes from, and you know, most of the Bullseye as main antagonist comes from is his run. And yeah, it is like, there's no engaging with the character or the mythology or the lore of Daredevil without directly having to talk to the Frank Miller run, because that's the shadow cast over. I mean, I would really argue like all comics in the 80s, all superhero comics of the 80s, is this Daredevil run. You could argue it's maybe Frank Miller's Batman run. I would say Watchmen is in that something else category, where it starts to become something other than strictly a superhero story, just because it's divorced from like lore and wasn't bound to like the monthly, you know,
treating them as like actual mythology almost.
Right. And
like
not having to get caught up in the soap opera of it all. And so,
even though I would say it still has that language in it.
Oh yeah, no, this is purely that. Like I said, this is as good, in my opinion,
for sure,
as you can do. And it reads like a Brian De Palma movie, you know,
definitely,
or like it has these like kind of you know, maybe not necessarily film noir, but it does have those kind of like, it has a very cinematic quality that I don't think you would find with, I would argue, damn, any Marvel comic that was on the shelf next to it at that period. You know, it was so innovative. But beyond innovative, just entertaining as hell to read. I mean, it's a stellar read, right?
It was such a like refreshing. This comic came out in like mid 80s, early 80s or something.
I think 85.
85. Amazing.
That's the year, right?
So 85, it's like got the weight of all of the comics that have come before it. It's got like the indie scene coming out headstrong, but this is coming out as a mainline book. Yeah. And I felt like it was taking itself seriously without being dorky.
Yeah, definitely not. There's no pretension here.
Right.
And I don't think it's really, again, maybe if it's trying to be something, it's just using like the language of cinema, you know, but I think comics, there's a lot of comics that have tried to be this run of Daredevil, but I don't think this run of Daredevil was trying to be anything other than, again, a kind of a film, you know. And it's a relatively simple story. I do want to kind of focus on the art, of course, because this isn't Frank Miller drawing. He's, you know, obviously writing and including all these layouts and stuff, but Mazzucchelli is in such top form. Like, this is such a great example of the kind of interplay you can have between writer and artist, and like just how good straight comic book art can be. You know, there's, I don't know, small light motifs that come back, like all the stuff with the characters laid out. I think this is like from the Tarot. That's the Fool, right? The Fool card where he's hanging upside down.
Right, the Hangman or something.
There we go. Yeah, and you know, in whatever, it's like it's a very it's a little blatant. You know, I think in a movie, if you see this pose, and once you start looking for that pose, you'll see it all the time. It's like the director did this pose to show that the character is going to be led around like a fool and find new discoveries. It's very, you know, on the nose or whatever. But that's the beauty of comics, is you can kind of throw that in, notice it, not notice it. It doesn't necessarily draw too much attention. And as a splash page, it's like,
that's what I was gonna say, man. It's so in focus, and maybe it just works for if you're reading this passively. I didn't notice that actually when I first read it, but when you're reading it passively, it hits you on like at least some level, because you'll understand why he looks so disheveled.
Yeah, and he's, you know, again, conventional comic storytelling would have the splash page be a big action scene, right? You know, you'd have Daredevil busting through the window, but this is about as opposite of action as you can be, and it's not Daredevil that's in focus, it's Matt Murdock, which is kind of who the story is about. And I mean, just as a page though, I would say this is as engaging as any splash ever. I mean, the different screens at play, the coloring, the lettering, like, awesome. It's just like amazing. If this doesn't like fire neurons in your brain, we are just not going to be really able to have a conversation about visual art. You know what I mean?
100%. There's so much like even the background imagery and stuff, like it's often like more emotive than it is like how like super hyper detailed and all that kind of stuff.
And it's definitely gives the story weight. It's so well balanced. Everything is perfect. Like this perspective, the figures, and I really like. And this is kind of why I wanted to read this in conjunction with the Asterios Polyp, because you'll see such a flip on this art. You would, by my estimate, I can never. If you just gave me two books, I would never assume they were the same artist doing both of them. Which I think is to Mazzucchelli's credit that he's able to have this kind of diversity. But this figure work is so incredible. Like, the action is...
all the posing. Like, this is the stuff that is insane to me, because I take one fucking figure drawing class in high school, and I'm like, how the fuck did he do that?
The perspectives, how dynamic it all is. Like, this is world-class artistry. And it's applied to a very, silly guy in red pajamas running around, But the language of comics with like the, passage of time, panel to panel, Daredevil interrogating this
cop or whatever.
Yeah, why he's turning on him. Because this is, the whole arc is basically the Kingpin getting Daredevil's secret identity and using it against him, and kind of watching him sort of boil under the pressure.
Yeah, kind of breaking Matt Murdock, actually, and just destroying the man within the costume first.
Of course, which is, obviously, like, makes a Kingpin look that much just more villainous.
Badass,
and, black and white, like courtroom sketch style. So there's still like a diversity of art styles in here, or he's able to do all these different things.
Not to cut that off, but isn't that paper that we're talking about?
Yes, like it's all crosshatchy. What was the OMAC?
John Burns OMAC.
And of course, all the Ninja Turtle comics use this stuff.
But this looks
like crazy.
So detailed. I don't know. This looks crazy good.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a lot of like negative space stuff, right? Like kind of fleshing out these background characters, like just not coloring this or that, or not cross-hatching that heavy. It's, again, just feels so big budget, for lack of better words. This is like all these kind of effects. This is like good lighting in film or whatever. And lighting plays a huge part too, like all these deep shadows and everything.
Right. Like that noir language that you're talking about.
100%.
For sure.
And like, they're able to do all this and tell this kind of story and use the Daredevil character so sparingly.
Right.
But it also doesn't feel like you're getting cheated at all. Here's our page again. He's in fetal position, born again. You know, like we're getting some layers in here. All right, we're not
we're working on some levels.
Yes, absolutely. Maybe the perspective on that door is a little jank. I'll give him that. But
That's
yeah.
shallow.
Whatever. But
dude, the raddest part to me is it's Mazzucchelli working in like the Frank Miller, all of his kind of like the things that I would say are his panel works and panel layouts.
So that huge contrast on everything.
Boom, and then we get like these tinier panels here. Like I feel like this is such a Frank Miller-esque thing to
for sure.
work in.
Yeah, and we'll have like deal with his screens motif.
Right.
He has a lot of people talking through screens.
Right.
Which is of course
that's his thing.
Yeah. I mean, you know, when you do a book as good as Dark Knight, you get to do that gets to be your thing for sure.
And then now we're seeing Matt Murdock in his full nervous breakdown kind of style. He's like in here.
Yeah.
You think he's actually talking with Foggy,
but then it gives you the beep at the end. I just beat up a cop. Please, Daredevil. I'm already a fan. You don't have to overdo it. Terrific lighting. Like this is
crazy cool.
This is draftsmanship.
Yeah.
You know, this isn't like highly stylized. There's some, you know, there's a lot of, I don't know, rigidity for lack of better words that again you wouldn't normally associate with like a Frank Miller. He certainly takes that to like extremes when he does like Sin City and all that. But this isn't, you know, Frank Miller. This is Mazzucchelli working with it, and it just feels like, again, just kind of pretty straight, like figure work. You know, this is the anatomy never feels jank or particularly exaggerated, but this is straight Marvel style. You know, just like the most dramatic point out of each line of action, you know. And anyways, we're dumping Murdoch in the river there, but low he waits. Yeah, it's him repeating that idea in his head. There is no quit. Yeah, that looks so good. That's such a satisfying page.
He's just and like obviously the Daredevil series is coming out right now,
right?
And I only read it in Vincent D'Onofrio's voice.
Yeah, he is. Say what you will about that series, like he is the Kingpin.
Oh, for
There's
sure.
no replacing that. And yeah, here's our Miller panel work.
Yeah, which I love, man. All that kind of
He's
stuff.
so good. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm pretty soft on Sin City. And more again, fetal position here. Another splash page with him laid out. And that's, I guess, kind of his magnum opus is Sin City. I would think so, but
it's really, really beautiful art.
Yes.
I will say I'm not the biggest fan of the stories. I think they're kind of edgy,
right?
Too edgy for their own good in a way. But
my Frank Miller, which is his Daredevil and his Batman. You do whatever you want after that, brother. Like, and yeah, the Sin City artwork is just completely engrossing. But that's about the only thing I would call engrossing around it. I hesitate to. I mean, again, if you do this good of comics writing, you get a pass on anything you have in life. So I don't want to like. There's a lot of people coming for Frank Miller now because they keep flogging this poor man. They have him do like modern covers.
I saw the Wolverine was
rough or
kind of gnarly. I like the Turtles one. I thought that one was good.
It's, you know, he has his own style, but regardless, the problem is not Frank Miller doing these covers.
Right.
The problem is the economy of comics that needs to tap this fucking guy who has no interest in doing these covers.
Right.
Giving him X amount of dollars, or, you know, just fucking giving him something to do.
You think it's just like a nerdgasm that they need?
Yeah, they need the nostalgia. You know, they need the little boost in sales numbers that he gives you. And here's our like kind of Christ pose, right? Because he's of course dying for our sins.
Again.
Yep. It's not the most subtle, but still beautiful. And then anatomy, figure work, like all this stuff is so great. And it's not, you know, these aren't like roided out, super powered figures.
For some reason, I had to just like stop reading and look at all of this.
Wild.
Like, Even as
Yeah.
he's just tracing, it's just fucking cool.
The screens and the shadows here.
Yeah, this
amazing
is
work.
analog style too, y'all. So he had to cut all that out.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is
Badass.
pure. This is like what Sin City is.
Mhm.
Period. You know, like those are Sin City panels right there. And again, it's not Frank Miller writing or not Frank Miller doing the art, but he's telling them how to do it. Great page layout. And
This sequence is so cool.
again, we're watching a guy recuperate in a homeless shelter and a journalist get a scoop, but it's as engrossing as any cosmic super sci-fi mega heroes that you'll ever read.
Arguably more interesting.
Completely, and it's just storytelling.
Yeah.
It's a trillion Father, Son, Holy Ghost.
So cool.
Or, come on now.
It's like I grew up fucking Catholic, so now this dude, I have a soft spot for the Daredevil now.
For sure.
Like,
And I have to say, I don't think that Act 1 and 2 are the best.
I think so,
It
yeah.
kind of flops at
Yeah.
the end, but it's not without its redemption.
you think like this whole sequence is cool.
Yeah, and we're
but-
getting a little, like, there is a little stylization. We're not totally like looking.
especially that, right?
Yeah, we're not. I don't know if it's like tried to symbolize him becoming more unwound or something, but we're not like necessarily in like the straight because I think a lot of these look like fashion sketches,
Yeah.
but we're distorting that a little bit as we go on. Maybe it's as the artist gets a little more comfortable. Maybe he's just trying to reach a deadline, so we're just hashing stuff out. I mean, these feel a little rushed,
Right.
our skeletal Karen,
A lot more like leaning on the colorist, I think, for this
Yeah,
issue.
and it's again, it's smart story, or how you do storytelling, which is like when you want this action, the backgrounds kind of dip out.
Yeah.
And as we've kind of seen previously, like when we want to do, it's not like we don't know how to draw backgrounds,
Right. Right.
But it's also like you don't need to get into all the, break out the screens and a million background characters, and we're showing our. This is a fake Daredevil, right? Beating a guy to death?
This is a dude that they got out of the mental institution for the day to play Daredevil.
All this shit gets me off so much.
love that
The
shit,
white
man.
coat with like the ascot, like
It's so hard.
no
it's
character
badass.
has gotten an ascot. If it's indeed an ascot, I'm saying it's an ascot. Then old Kingpin, he's gotten it. Drop some ink on paper to get that. Great splash pages.
Oh yeah, man, this part's so
This
wild.
is like, man, yeah.
So
it's-
here we go a different way.
And I don't mean to like, I don't want to get too political here. I wish we got this Frank Miller who was,
Yeah.
trying to speak truth to power and kind of, he's kind of directly taking on the Reaganomics patriotism and the,
Our boys.
action hero romanticization of war, while the Iran-Contra and every other South American scandal is going on. We're
Right.
sort of shining a light on that. Maybe you could call that hokey, I don't know, but in its time it's a little more, it's definitely more politically I'm going to say awoke than certainly anything else on the shelves. I don't know what Micronauts was doing at the time, but I'm pretty sure they weren't tackling the South American imperialism like this comic was. And like, I don't know, I think the lore is at some point Frank Miller gets mugged, and that just like gives him this kind of permanent PTSD. And between that and 9/11, certain people just experienced 9/11 and it cracked their brains, and he's one of those cats. So that's why you get these weird, like, kind of, I don't want to outright say racist, but let's say xenophobic, 300 and all that kind of crap. It's like, you guys, again, you did you did these comics, you're a fucking legend for life. I don't care. I'm never gonna shit on your work, but it's like I wish we could have got this kind of let's say social criticism or social criticism towards actual power rather than him just kind of I don't know venting whatever he's venting in those later comics.
I would say venting is the perfect word for it.
Yeah, this is like, and again, in the action, we're dropping off the background. It's just, the artwork is just so stellar on this.
Yeah, like, just, I guess to bring it back to Mazzucchelli, I feel like you do see him, there's stuff that he's really comfortable in. I think he's comfortable in all of it, but like, in just these stills of like, people having conversations, they come out so good.
And you can do that, and then you can also have Iron Man. That's kind of a goated Iron Man design, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mid-'80s Iron Man, a little hint of light blue in the mix. I mean, completely enthralling.
Yeah. Commanding that shit, and then we got good old Cap.
Yeah, Mazzucchelli. How much Mazzucchelli Cap is there? And again, maybe you're like, oh, he's cheaping out, he's going too simple, but it's like, look at what he can do when it's called for. You know, like, again, you have all this stuff going on when he's just doing dialogue, but when you're trying to show Cap and his relationship to the flag, you drop everything out, make it a simple background, Yeah. And look at this like kind of charcoal style when he's trying to convey that it's a photo in the newspaper, and like that looks so good. There's our screens. There we go. There's our frame. That's a Millerism right there. And I love our boys.
Our boys.
I think there was some adaptation of this. I think maybe like the last season on Disney Plus Daredevil, they had him interacting with some kind of version of Nuke. But so cool. I mean, this is how you do your sentimentality, right? Because Cap is like, I don't care how crazy he is. He has a fucking flag on his face. Like, what the hell is him? This guy.
He feels some sort of kinship to him.
Yeah, and like I don't know, you love it. This is, I mean, again, we're focusing on Mazzucchelli, I know, but it's like, tell me Frank Miller doesn't inherently really understand these characters. And I know this is based on a classical. It's like a Caravaggio or something, but it's like supposed to be Christ under the what do you call it, cloth, but more kind of religious imagery, and we're playing with that motif of the splash panel with the guy laid out here, And
then I like that little detail of him, like the cigarettes falling in dead space,
and that fucking like that conveys so much, like the weight of him, like the battle is over, but we're still having to deal with this fallout, and then it just kind of cinches up a little too quickly, right?
Yeah, at the end.
Everything was foiled, and he's fine with it. Him and his old lady are doing great. Fucking again, this is where I say it's like
fashion, right?
Fashion sketching. This is like Sears catalog shit right here. And the rest, I mean,
this part I really like too.
Yeah,
he's like
he's talked to doing his own comics. Keep an eye out. And hey, let's do that.
87.
There we go. And just we're not going to get into the rest of the book or anything, but this is his, I think we do, I forgot, just a Marvel graphic novel. I guess I didn't, just, if you want the more Frank Miller writing and Sienkiewicz doing the art, this is really far out stuff. I think you can get this, you're probably better off reading this graphic novel on its own rather than in the omnibus form. I think pages are actually bigger in the graphic novel, and they're pretty... kind of cheaper to get and better printing, colors, blah blah blah. But it's like this. I think this is the Kingpin, the design they use in the Across the Spider-Verse.
Oh, has to be.
When I saw this on the screen, on the big screen, I was like, they're doing Sienkiewicz's Kingpin, which I don't know. Maybe the love for that cartoon is a little overstated at this point, especially because they just taken. I think the second Spider-Man cartoon, Across the Spider-Verse. The Spider-Verse cartoons, it's called that. I think the second one kind of shat the bed, and I think they've taken one being too long.
Bloated, the next one.
And so it's I want to celebrate a great. I want to celebrate how big of a part of pop culture that moment was and everything. And again, how cool it is to see a character like Bill Sienkiewicz's Kingpin design incorporated into Spider-Man. Well, a lot of people's introduction to Spider-Man, I guess, is his animated feature. So much love and all that, but
You got the go. He's goated now.
this is the way to read it.
Yeah,
This is my Kingpin. But yeah, anyways, this is the Sienkiewicz one. And I think at the end they get the Man Without Fear. I think this is JR. No,
This is
the
stuff
John
I was
Romita
reading,
stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, they got the scripts here. They're padding these things out. They just want
Wow.
to they just want to sell you 2 omnibuses. That's fine.
Okay,
But yeah,
yeah.
it was quick glance just for nostalgia's sake. And tell me we don't lose a lot with that digital coloring of this period,
Look
though.
at that. That's horrible.
I know, sad. But
Man.
but can't say JR doesn't know how to do some drawing, anyways.
Yeah.
Okay. Enough with this kid shit.
So we saw the
Enough with this
superhero.
children. This
No.
is all. I mean, to kind of showcase again what I would call kind of the best superhero writing, and we're going to see the same artist on his own doing the exact opposite kind of story. How did you feel about the book?
I fucking loved it.
Yeah?
The ending caught me off guard completely, but I just like knowing that this is. So he does a book, like I don't know how many solo works he's had.
Not
but
many. I think this is the last big book he did.
that
too.
he did, and before
This
this
is
was
in 2013.
wow.
Yeah.
And Rubber Blanket was like in the 90s or something like that.
I don't think I've read those.
Oh man,
That's
it's
a banger,
It's
huh?
just a series of short stories, and I would
Mm.
say that is a really good in between.
And look at this. What are we
so
opening with? Our character laid out on the bed.
Whoa!
No!
Shit, I didn't notice that.
Mazzucchelli Meltdown, baby.
Oh fuck!
But yeah, like as an artist, he's so incredible, and this is like a great look at his like versatility in terms of look at what he's doing with those action comics and those kind of figures and working with his own design, and then it's like he's able to do this really simplified version later on, and like doing. It's not black and white. Like he utilizes color quite a bit.
What is it called? Right when it's just a limited color palette, but it's
Yeah.
used in this effect because there's not a lot of black line. I don't think there's any black.
Yeah, no holding
No
lines.
holding lines. Right.
And
if you guys haven't read the story, like this story in itself is a dichotomy of what real life versus like what could have been.
yeah,
kind
because
of
part
thing.
of his thing is and I completely forgot about this after because I read this a while back. It's pretty common library book or whatever, and of course like seeing Mazzucchelli go solo, I had to read it.
Yeah.
And I did not remember how heavy that like dead twin motif comes in, because he has they're a stillborn twin, right? So
Right.
they're in the womb together. The twin is stillborn, and so he had like the narrator in a sense is the dead twin, and it kind of consumes his thought quite a bit.
Yeah.
So it does that idea comes up quite a bit. Here's Matt Murdock walking in the rain. So sad. He didn't wait like 5 Daredevil issues, and I'm like, oh yeah, the Daredevil guy, Mazzucchelli.
But it's
Yeah,
hard
for sure.
not to.
I know.
Because that is such a banger in itself.
Yes.
And I guess just because given it's in a New York City space, and it's like, I feel like the city itself has that language
Right.
with people. This whole
Great
like,
panel. This
yeah.
chick just throws up on it. Don't even worry about it.
Yeah, she's like, just go, walk on. I mean, to me, this was my first time reading it. I read it like 3 times for
Yeah.
this episode, and I'm probably gonna read it again just because it's the easiest. It's one of the easiest comics I've ever digested.
Yeah, it goes super quick, and I mean, there's not a lot of words on the page. It doesn't bog you down with that too much. This is the kind of stuff where I'm like, I do think I don't think he's as good of a writer as Frank Miller at his peak. And this is the shit that I found really corny. This is like different styles of drawing people, because this does, I guess if our Born Again is like a Brian De Palma, Scorsese,
Right.
white knuckled kind of thing, this feels a little like I don't know, maybe like a Woody Allen pastiche in a
That
sense.
I was getting a little bit of that like character study inside of a story kind of thing.
Yeah, and like I don't know, there's a few weak points. Particularly, is a weak point of, I would say, any writer
Right.
is like the same voice, and like
Yeah.
I think he tries to do this differentiating style, like this is the Asterios style, and everyone has their own different art style. Which on one hand, great flex as an artist.
Yeah.
On the other hand, a little saccharine in my opinion,
And
maybe a little heavy-handed.
Maybe not a cop out per se. I know what you mean though with like it's more for the effect than
Right.
it is for like the substance of it.
Yeah, and like the it comes into play most heavily with like Asterios being this kind of like breakdown of shapes, because that's how he sees the world, and his old lady being like the shades of gray gal
Right.
or whatever, and it's like, how will these two get along? And like I don't know, I guess I when it's all the characters kind of have the same conversation, or they all have the same voice.
Yeah.
That irks me, and I don't like the what I call them the Wikipedia entries, which is when someone's trying to have a conversation and then it's just like, oh, you don't know about the Treaty of Versailles? Let me tell you about the Treaty of Versailles. And
Right.
there's a lot of like,
Which
okay,
that seems like Asterios Polyp.
yeah, which is, again, whatever, fine, you can use it to one effect or the other, but it's also like, all right, that's a way to fill up 2 pages, is just have a mouthy character explaining something to another, and again, it's just Wikipedia entries. And this brings me to my third irk, which
Right
is...
here. I think I did have a tab because of something in it.
It's like the intellectual power fantasy where like,
Oh my God,
if I
yeah.
just yap good enough, I can be myself, the intellectual distinguished artist will attract some chick half my age, and that's like a cool thing or whatever.
Right, and I think the smoking is really like for that kind of like shallow ass,
Right,
like,
it's kinda-
cool guy factor.
Yes.
But she actually has like, I'm not to say that Asterios didn't go through shit, but it's just like she has a lot of more of like an emotional. I don't know. There's more substance to her.
Yeah, of course. I mean, this is it's Asterios is the book, but the premise is we get to see him be an asshole all the time.
Yeah.
And it's Jenny is her name. Am I crazy?
Hannah.
Hannah. There we go. And we get to hear Hannah be like, just a little saint.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know, is that kind of bad writing in the sense of like,
I think it's very flat.
Yes.
And that dichotomy of it's where I'll definitely say that I don't think that this writing per se is like the highest caliber.
Right.
But I think that because we're seeing it from the point of view of Asterios, and he is a very like as what is that called? It's like I think you just touched on it. It's like you are deep only as far as like how like how much you can use of your knowledge of like like
academic or whatever, intellectual.
Academia, like that bullshit. Like,
yes, and so it's like, here's our intellectual and here's our emotional person, and look, they're coming together and they're
Right.
blending in, and it's like, I'm sorry, man, like, I know what you're doing, I understand it, that's hack, like, it's corny, it's someone maybe like teared up, maybe someone has a fucking tattoo of these two or
dude, I
something,
bet.
but for my tastes at least, like
that's not the top of the book either. Like
Yeah,
there
it's-
is so much better. Like these sequences when he's actually in the real world and
Yeah,
in
kinda-
this yellow purple like space, I think has a lot more to give than the other sequences.
Yeah, and I don't know. as a whole narrative, I guess I just don't really know what one has to do with the other per se. Like
From this to
yeah,
the,
like because I mean he's learning in a sense, and like looking back at where he fucked up with this relationship, and you know, not to what do you call it, spoil it or anything. Not that you're not doing that to yourself right now.
Yeah,
looking
we're
on this
literally-
video, but you know, in the end, he you know is able to go back and reconcile with her, which is again also kind of a somewhat of a bland male fantasy that like you know this chick is this like accomplished artist gal is just like living on her own and completely single and
Right.
all that, and it's like, oh, I could never find someone as fucking
cool as this guy, but
Yeah.
she is arguably way cooler in her.
yeah,
you
and
know?
they're just like watching this guy be insufferable the whole time. So it's like when they do get back together, it's not like it's like did you didn't really learn anything. You didn't really go through anything.
It feels like
You fucked off for a while. You got out of your apartment, you know.
right.
But like,
I mean,
what do you get? All you really do is yap with this lady who, again, has a bad case of same voice. They try to mix it up somewhat, give her like little kind of Valley Girlisms or
I
something.
think this guy's even has a lot more depth to him than
Yeah, for sure. But it's still just like, I don't know. I don't get the emotional catharsis where he grows enough to where when they reconcile, it's like, oh, good, they fixed these problems. It's just like
right.
he dicked around for a while and
See
then
that.
ended up missing her. But it just to me feels like
Yeah.
someone who grew. It's a very Gen X thing in a way, where it's like a guy who grew up. And I don't know if Mazzucchelli's Gen X or what the generation thing has to do with it at all, but like it is a very, very obvious male writer, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, but like it doesn't. I think maybe that I bring up the generation thing because like we've, at least for you know, us millennials, you know, we were kind of like bullied out of like manic
Absolutely.
pixie dream girl. Like, you know, you're ashamed essentially if you write a story like this. And I don't think, maybe it's charming in a sense because we're not going to see this kind of story being written by
Yes.
us. You know,
It
we're
wouldn't-
too self-conscious. You know?
Yeah, it wouldn't be in that space, but when you said that, I'm like, this does feel like some sort of like a Michel Gondry style storytelling in like the the guy who did Eternal Sunshine.
Okay.
And
I don't,
shit like that.
I've never seen that movie. I
There's-
gotta eventually see it, right?
You said, man, yeah, I would watch it.
Yeah.
It's all right.
I just got to see it to understand what people are talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
If something's big enough, if for the sake of being big, it's
It's
like,
got its own thing
Yeah.
going on. I think his show that he did with Jim Carrey is way fucking better.
Okay.
But that's my opinion. Anyways, with that, the Manic Pixie Dream Girl stuff,
Mhm.
I think that there's this whole genre like that came out of those movies that are like there's like that Lars and the Real Girl.
okay.
And there's this book has that kind of feeling where it's like kind of like not lonerism, but it's like this kind of like what is the word? Not uppity.
I mean, it's, you know,
I mean, this was so ridiculous. This
Right.
fucking sequence, like, and I think it's meant to be that way. We're not really meant to wholeheartedly like this guy.
right, but he's also not doing anything bad enough. He's not so unlikable
Right.
that it's a complex character.
He stands in between, like,
I'd say it's like still as flat as like, you know, an action hero or something, but again, it's
good way to
someone
put it.
that's a little too wordy. So instead of having a guy, you know, you get bloody up his villains and bad guys, you know, it's a guy who just talks and talks
he
and talks.
like
And
academically takes him down.
yeah, it's all these, you know, just what do you call it? Monologues. You know, it's just a bunch of characters monologuing at each other.
Would you say waspy? Have you heard
Oh,
that term?
yeah, of course.
Total waspy vibes. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, and like, I don't know. I guess, I mean, I like Catcher in the Rye and Woody Allen movies, you know, deal with it. Man, I had to give up. I've given up on the man. Listen, there was a while where I was clinging to it. I was like, listen, the daughter was from a different relationship, okay? Okay, he didn't have anything to do with. He wasn't her. It wasn't his daughter. He didn't adopt. I was a defender. I was hemming and hawing for a long time. Yeah, I was like, then you know that Epstein list comes out. I was like, all right.
Oh shit!
All
I didn't
right.
see what the hell he did.
It's pretty rough.
Oh fuck!
We got to give him up. Got to give him up. He's gone. You guys were right. I was wrong. If you've ever heard me going on, Andre Previn and him are not the same thing. It's not the same. And like, you know, I'm not saying it's cool, but
right.
you got to look at what Mia Farrow was doing because what the environment she was raised. It's all done.
This is all bad.
I'm wrapping it up. We're not doing that anymore. But I still like his movies a lot.
In this post-Woody Allen...
Yes. Since we can't have Woody, we can have stories like this, and we can have... Even like Kevin Smith movies are kind of like inspired by that, you know, where it's it's just it's cringe for sure.
It's
but
some cringe.
It's also so earnest.
But I see what you mean, though.
Kind of, it's... Again, I don't think we're going to get these stories again. This feels so fucking dated. You know what I mean?
This?
Yes.
It definitely has a different...
like, no one is writing a story like this again. Because it's so embarrassing to see a man be just, like, projecting his fantasies so much and have these kind of women characters be so flat and, like, male feministy, because it's not like, you know, some like...
That's a good way to put it.
This isn't like a bikini babe, you know, like being sexualized or anything like that. So I'm sure...
But it is like the othering of, like...
Yes,
women.
for sure.
It's definitely that.
It's maybe a little Joss Whedon, you know, where it's like... people look to Buffy as like this, you know, beacon of female women representation in media, but it's because at the time shit was so terrible that having a woman have dialogues, whatever, passing like a Bechdel test, let's say, was like, wow, this is really impressive. This guy really understands how to write women. And I think now if we want women's stories, we'll just listen to them. The space is opening up to where you can
Jillian Tamaki out there.
Yeah, you just go to the source. We don't need to deal with men in comics writing women like this. And, you know, I don't know. I think it's probably for the better. I think it's something like this is fine as an artifact of sort. This I sort of liked. This is probably as hokey as the other stuff, but I still, just as a little section of the book, I kind of like the passing of like daily,
that way.
like,
and then it reads that way.
Yes, and you're kind of like given this fragmented view of living with a person and all the intimacies that come with it. And this is all kind of built around her. She loses a Q-tip in her ear, and that's the last time I buy that pseudo somebody brand. So, you know, kind of showing that she has picked up his some of his
isms.
His isms. He's using his verbiage
to
describe this faulty.
This is, to me, I think what he was working towards.
One thing I know about Omar, he's gonna fuck with the dream sequence. If
that
you got a dream sequence in your comic, it is.
I'm such a shill for this stuff.
Great use of colors though, like just going black and like mauve, I guess, or white and mauve, and it does have this kind of surrealism that
just like the mythic, like just breaking down, just full vibes. We're getting like maybe some sort of Greek. What I think he's doing is some sort of like Greek-esque fairy tale.
For sure. I'm just not like attuned with that stuff. I know enough to really understand like which gods each of these people represent. I'm sure there is something pretty much like that drawn in like that. Or
he's a professor, right? At
Mazzucchelli? I think he does some. I forgot what he.
I'm wondering if they use this as a textbook, because I would say that this is a great primer on comics language.
Yes, for sure, and especially, I mean, I'm a little burnt on, not like the sequence or anything, but on stories like this. I think maybe because I've just been exposed to so many comics, and I've just seen, I don't know, this kind of story done better, or you know what I mean?
Got you, yeah.
Art-wise, obviously, it's phenomenal, but I just think, you know, the writing is a little bit
I think it's
over-reliant on cliche. It does flow very well. It looks very good. It's a good comic, but if you think of comics as superheroes, and then someone gives you this, it will totally blow your mind. But then maybe if you read Mouse,
oh yeah, no way,
or
man.
you know, Persepolis,
Spiegelman
or Persepolis, Persepolis, or you know, even just like maybe Eisner doesn't hit you till later. But anyways,
Eisner's very mature. Mature.
But it's also
reader.
kind of contextual, so it's like, I don't know if you are going to be as wide-eyed about his like 70s graphic novels as you would, you know, if it was like your second or third comic you've read.
Oh man, that'd go over your head probably.
Yeah, but you know, again, I think this is digestible enough and probably has some of that like indie movie language to like, where you could give this to someone that's like, comics, that's just Batman and Superman and X-Men, and then you hand this, and you're like, wow, I didn't think.
Shit.
It's probably very impressive.
Right. And it does have like that indie film feeling.
For sure.
I'm struggling to like find what actual director I'm like thinking of when I read this stuff, because it's not like Richard Linklater or anything like that.
For sure, and it's like, I'm saying Woody Allen, but it's like there's not
something in there.
It's not as funny, I guess. I mean, Jesus, if you wanted to be really insulting, you'd say like Zach Braff movie.
Oh no way, dude! I wouldn't do that.
We're not doing our man that dirty. It's like, kind of maybe, it's not like Linklater, but it's like the guys that watch the generation after Linklater, the generation that was raised on Linklater movies.
It's in that kind of space, and here I guess we're getting the last.
The twin interaction where they kind of merge together of sorts, or you know, like because he gets beat up for really no reason,
just for being waiting in line for the restroom or some shit.
Like, okay, fine. He loses an eye, which I'm sure is some allusion to Zeus or something, or one of the
some
Titans.
Greek something.
That is over our pay grade as comics readers or whatever.
Now he's got a different hairstyle and everything.
I like that we didn't have to like do anything. He didn't have to like, you know, fool around with that lady.
Right. They left it
unsaid, which I think is a touch of class.
Yeah, like I think it would have just been like, all right, this guy's a piece of shit.
Like would have gone too far. But he's this solar panel powered car. It's just kind of a little bit hat on a hat.
A little funny. Yeah, a little funny.
It's like you didn't really need to do that.
I wonder if it was. Oh man. It's like I did have the idea of like, you know, like Wim Wenders and stuff.
I know. Yeah, it's another guy who I'm like.
That's that movie, man. It's like a diet Wim Wenders, though.
Oh, okay.
That's where I'm getting at. It's like, it is really good, but it's in the space of like, there's like human element. That I think is not being explored here. It's in there somewhere, but I think it could be cultivated a little more.
It does feel, I guess a little surface level or pastiche. I mean, it does feel like. It's gonna sound like really rude because again, I do like the comic. It's a good comic. Again, I would pitch it.
We both like it, but there are things that is not.
Yeah, it does feel like an impression of good writing rather than being good writing. It is not an impression of good art. The art is fucking stellar.
Yeah.
But it's, I guess my grand takeaway, because I have to like. We're doing this like, oh no, it's good, but hedging this and that with it,
Making excuses for it.
You didn't hear me saying that with Born Again. The Daredevil comics that he drew and Frank Miller wrote, I'm like, this is peak.
It knew what it was and it did it so well.
And a month-to-month published superhero comic.
Yeah, that's some other shit.
Versus a completely auteur-driven indie comic. We're supposed to be in the on-team auteur team indie, right?
Mm-hmm.
You would think this is the more weighty, intellectual, engagement.
Right.
However, I would argue,
This part.
I guess the connecting theme is they both kind of end really silly, because I don't know why they have to be implied that they're blown up by a
That
asteroid.
it's very Looney Tunes to me.
Yeah, kind of like just couldn't figure out
And I
how to
didn't-
punctuate your sentence. Like you could have I mean, maybe this feels a little saccharine, but like, call it there.
Yeah.
Just call it there. You know, you take out the dialogue. There's our ending.
I would have been so satisfied with that. That's why at the top I was saying that the ending threw me for a loop a little bit.
Yeah, because they were talking about it in the it's like someone reading like, oh, if you want to, it's Chekhov's asteroid. You know,
Oh, there
it's
you
like,
go.
if you're going to talk about asteroids, you have to bring it in later on,
Right.
and then they get blown up.
there's the
It's
shooting
kind of
star.
implied that they're blown up by the asteroid, whether it is or
So
isn't
so
important.
ends
The
Asterios Polyp and yeah.
So yeah, our Mazzuchelli meltdown again. It's an interesting experiment, because again, you're supposed to say the indie comic is the brainier of the two. You're supposed to say, you know, artist as writer, auteur is going to be the better product, you know.
Yeah.
But if you really want to have like see which component is in charge of which and see how they break down, this is a really interesting comparison you can run yourself and get whichever mileage you want. For me, again, it's the better story is the better story, and I would say that, like, not that they're in competition or anything, but maybe in conversation. Let's say, I think maybe Mazzucchelli's strength as an artist is unquestionable. His versatility, his just technical skill, all of it, amazing. And he's not cutting corners here. He's making some very creative visual choices, and like the fact that you're seeing him do more conventional work in The Born Again only makes these choices that much more impressive. It makes him that much more impressive of an artist. However, when a guy is doing like generational level talent writing like Miller was in the 80s, it's kind of like, maybe give Mazzucchelli a writer, you know?
I think, yeah. I mean, playing devil's advocate, no pun intended, I would say that there are people that work best that with, like, as like a group.
Right.
They have like a, I wonder if there was just, if he needed to tell this story. Number one, I don't know, like, if this is something that maybe he was going through in his personal life, he had to tell it. It was like, fuck it, Zach Braff, like that fucking, what's that one movie with
500 Days of Summer? Is that it? Is that his?
I'm not. It could be. I wouldn't doubt it. But there's one movie with I think it's Keira Knightley, and she's like a manic pixie fairy or whatever.
Right.
But this is better than that to me, but it's still in that range.
It is burdened with a little bit of sentimentality.
Yeah, and I think it could have gone somewhere else. And but I mean that's as a audience member to these two books, I do think that this book definitely benefited from Frank Miller just knowing these characters on to like a fucking
time.
granular level, which is something that I don't see here. I think it's an exploration of character versus and story plots, and like it's an exploration on writing, authorship, but I still don't think it reaches here.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to say that like this is like Born Again Daredevil is like you have to read it before you die. Asterios Polyp is like it's pretty good. It'll enrich your life. It's fine. I do wish we had more of his auteur-driven comics. I mean, to your point, maybe if it's just a singular story he needed to get out, then maybe that's why they're just not cranking them out every couple of years or something.
Yeah.
But man, do I wish we had a lot more Mazzucchelli the last decade, because it is really, it's a kind of unique arc to have like this again, very inline corporate style,
Yeah.
and then get to break out and do your own thing, and not just do like, you know, a different superhero, or do like, you know, a zombie book or something,
Yeah,
but like
yeah.
just to tell that kind of personal story. He's kind of unique in the world of comics in that regard, and I do I would like to see more, but hey, listen, takes what we can get. So the fact that we got this
Yeah.
is really impressive and nice to see. And so I would say if yeah, you're drawn to that kind of mythology, Mount Rushmore style artists, and like the, not just the mythology of like Daredevil, but what Frank Miller's Daredevil did to comics, what it means in the greater you know, pantheon of storytelling, then like the Asterios story is just that much more interesting, because it's like, look at what else this guy can do.
In that lens, it definitely it gives Mazzucchelli like more props in that way.
For
that
sure.
He's like able to step out of like the more traditional style, because I guess he is working in a more traditional approach.
Yeah. I mean, it's like I said, generational apex talent in terms of writing. So it's not like you were getting direct. It's not like he was like writing fucking, you know, Eternauts or whatever. You know, like he was working with, you know, the top shelf guy for what it is. But it's still, that's kind of what makes that top shelf writing so top shelf to me, is that it is bound by the limits and fits within the confines of traditional superhero comic storytelling, but still is able to elevate the medium so far. And you know, sure, Miller has like his own auteur-driven superhero comics, but it's maybe he's able to spend that much more time on the characterization, because it's kind of crazy to say that, and I would argue this, that the Daredevil has deeper characters than the comic that's just about characters and about individuals and about people and lives, and is more of like a kind of romantic comedy setting. It's crazy that the story that has Iron Man and Captain America and Thor show up in it kind of has more grounded characters, or characters that feel more fleshed out and unique from each other.
Definitely
but
true.
Again, that's why it's a generational talent.
That's just our take on. But you know, I think, but I do agree with you on that. There is like a missing link for me that it could have been a 10 out of 10 for me.
Yes.
You know, especially, you know, the dream sequence. I fucking love that shit. And the artistry is top level. The expressionistic.
Great like character drawing for sure.
It's very interesting, super cool. You know, some of the people, you know, but you just, there's not the depths aren't like as fun to explore. And like,
they are. There is a little bit of archetypal action going on. Even we didn't really touch on the like snotty, bratty director guy, but it's like, he feels like you're kind of doing an archetype, but it's a little bound to that
caricature.
And again, that's where I would say the difference between that's where the strength of a writer comes into play. And not everyone is as strong a writer as everyone else, and not everyone is as good at writing as they are drawing. That's why it's so rare to get that's why Daniel Clowes, Robert Crumb, all those guys are like, there's like 5 of them we can name off on the top of our heads, and then you're like,
and then you struggle.
I mean, Bechdel, she's there.
Literally, Bechdel, fucking Jaime Hernandez, the Los Bros, like, you can really only count them on these fingers.
It's not a knock against Mazzucchelli there. If anything,
it's really fucking hard.
You know who's real? When we read this one, it's going to be one for the books, but Monsters from
you've been telling me about that. Yeah, man.
So I've been like hesitating, because it is like a really tough read in terms of just like you need to kind of take a shower after reading it.
Oh.
It's very raw, but man, I had like the opposite experience of that, where it's like, man, I love this guy's Conan stories, and like, yeah, his Weapon X is 10 out of 10, and then you read his solo comic and you're like, oh no, he's that guy. Like he rises to the occasion in such an insane way, and that is like such a monolithic work. Like, and it's so recent. It's like the last couple of years I think it came out. It's like
nice.
And I don't think we're getting I don't know, like, I understand completely why that took like decades to put together. It's like, yeah, you take your time, brother. You get anytime you want to get to us, Barry Windsor Smith, with another work, like, feel free. But like, yeah, that to me is like rewriting the books on like a corporate, like, month to month Marvel guy going out on his own. There is no one who has it like Barry Windsor Smith. But that's a conversation for another day. And maybe we will see you on that day.
Yeah.
And until then, at ease.